There are so many things that have been lost to time, whether it's an unbreakable glass material, a fire that can't be put out by water, or an antidote to all poisons. We have it all on today's most amazing top 10 list. Coming in number 10, we have flexible glass. I mean, think of what we could do with a substance like that. You could make windows that never break. You could make a cup that never breaks. You make a bunch of other things that could never break. Basically, it would be an extremely durable version of everyday glass, and you could bet that would be a hot selling item. The first record of flexible glass happened between the years 14 and 37 AD. There was the great Emperor Tiberius who would take exotic goods from all over the land. There was a glassmaker who came to him with something very unique. It was a beautiful vase. He handed it to the emperor, who dropped it by accident, but the vase didn't break. It dented. The glassmaker quickly repaired it in front of the emperor as a way to impress him, but it didn't work like that. The emperor saw this as a threat, for his empire had a ton of wealth in precious metals to make various items. This flexible glass could have hurt business, so to hide the secret of this glassmaker, he had him taken to the dungeon and killed. Not how this dude probably thought this was going to play out. And if you comb through history, there were a couple more times where this mysterious material pops up, but it never has made its way to this day and age. Who knows? Maybe someone will make this material and be able to keep their head on their shoulders. And guys, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. It really helps us out. Coming in number 9, we have the Hulfunge di Dongyi. How do you know when an earthquake has happened? Well, you need a bunch of high-tech gear to tell you when it hit and how powerful it was. Well, that is actually dead wrong. There was a device in ancient China that was made by Zheng Hong. He was an incredible genius for his time and created a seismograph that was incredibly accurate. This thing was basically a big pot that would move with the shifting earth. There was a pendulum inside it that could point you in the direction of where an earthquake had just hit, and this device had an incredible range and could reach up to 100 miles away. The benefit of this was an emperor could find out what villages needed help because they were just hit by a natural disaster well before they sent an envoy to come receive help. How could you make something like that with just some pot and levers? I mean, if I was alive back then, I probably would have thought earthquakes happened because you didn't give enough grain to the river god. Coming in at number 8, we have a heat ray. I mean, we have all wanted ray guns since we were kids. When will we finally get some cool futuristic weapons that can blow our minds? Well, you might want to look into the past to find something like that. The ancient Greeks had a way to blast heat at enemy ships and set them ablaze. They would have massive bronze plates that would redirect the sun's rays back at enemy ships that were approaching through the water. This would focus it like a magnifying glass and burn these ships like a weird kid who's killing ants. So the ancient Greeks had a heat ray before we had a heat ray now? That is really starting to bother me right now. Coming in number 7, we have the pyramids. I mean, this one was a given. You can't make a list of amazing ancient relics without throwing the pyramids on that list, because we still don't know what happened. How did they build these big ass triangles? They are over 4,000 years old. They are 147 meters high. They have a ton of rooms and secret chambers and booby traps and detailed markings all over the walls. The Egyptians didn't have access to modern metals or even wheels. There's an estimated 2 million stones in a single pyramid. The stones weigh somewhere between 1.5 and 3 tons. How on earth did they do it? Some people say aliens, which I don't believe. I mean, it could have been some space dudes, but I would hope that they would give us something a little bit better than rock towers. I mean, give us a ray gun or something, that's what I want. But some people think that the Egyptians could have had access to some sort of tech that was far advanced for their time, but they either destroyed it because they didn't want anyone else to use it, or the tech was simply lost to time. Coming in at number 6, we have the Unartok disc. Have you ever tried to use a GPS other than Google Maps or Waze? They will take you all over the place and have you parked in some field that's 6 miles away from your destination. Maybe not that bad, but the Vikings had a device that put some of these apps to shame. The Unartok disc was a sundial type compass that could be used to navigate through the seas with an accuracy that was as good as a modern day compass. This explains how the Vikings were able to travel such great distances and always make it back to their homeland. But when you're making these long trips, eventually the sun will go down, and then everyone is going to be praying that you don't get thrown off course while the sun isn't up. But the Vikings found a way to get this bad boy to work even when there was no light. How do you get a sundial to work in the dark? Well, you have magic crystals. That's how the ancient texts describe them. Did these Vikings have help from the gods? Well, probably not. What these crystals could most likely do was project light onto this compass when there was only a very small light source. So with the moon and the stars, you would be able to navigate endured seas.
In our number 5 spot today, we have cloudbuster. In the 1950s, a man named William Reich created a pseudoscientific thing that was called a cloudbuster. It is said that this device could manipulate a certain energy that would affect the atmosphere, which would then change the patterns of the weather. The energy that the device is said to manipulate is called Oregon energy. It is said that they actually used this device on a farm in the 1950s, and it actually worked when it ended up calling down rain. Apparently people have tried to make modern cloudbusters, but to severe consequences for both the person who made it as well as the area surrounding their invention. Many people are wondering now if this cloudbuster ever actually worked, and if it did, how? Because we just can't seem to make anything like it. If you had a working cloudbuster, what would you do with it? Do you make a snowstorm? A perfectly rainy day? I don't know. Let me know down below in the comments what you would do. In our number 4 spot today, we have Starlite. Starlite was created in the 1970s and 80s by a British hairstylist and amateur chemist, Maurice Ward. What Starlite was a heat-resistant plastic that was basically indestructible. This plastic could withstand temperatures of 10,000 degrees Celsius, and it could withstand a force 75 times that of Hiroshima. Of course, when people heard about this invention, it became the talk of the town. When Maurice brought the material on TV, he covered an egg in Starlite, blasted it with a blowtorch for 5 minutes, and then when the Starlite was peeled back, the egg was still cold. NASA of course wanted to know what the heck Starlite was and how they could get their hands on it, but Maurice was really worried about what would happen if his invention fell into the wrong hands. This led to him keeping the makeup of Starlite a complete secret that he took with him to his grave. It has been said that the company ThermaShield has been able to replicate Starlite when they received the rights in 2013, so maybe this one will be making a comeback after all. In our number 3 spot today, we have the Apollo Gemini space program technology. This isn't necessarily technology that has been entirely lost, but it has been the source of many confused scientists. The race to get to space was a fast, cutthroat one, with everyone trying to be the first. With everyone running around trying to create all of these new technologies before anyone else, and with private contractors being brought on for certain things in order to help, all of the schematics and original components are so disorganized and scattered that now NASA staff are trying to reverse engineer the entire thing to see how it all worked together in tandem. Not to mention how those private contractors of course took all of their records with them, leaving no records behind for anyone to be able to get a full view of how this was all able to take place. I guess no matter the rush, it's equally as important to keep the documentation. You would think that NASA would have had someone just to keep documents, right? I feel like there's gotta be someone out there who's got that job now. In our number 2 spot today, we have the Wardenclyffe Tower. This tower was also known as the Tesla Tower, so I'm sure you can guess who built it. This tower was an early experimental wireless transmission station that was designed by Nikola Tesla. It was located in Long Island in 1901 and 1902. So here's the thing, the industrialist J.P. Morgan was the one who asked Tesla to create this wireless tower that could send messages across the world. Okay, sweet. That's super useful to us, so that would be great, right? Well, what Tesla built was even better. It was a device that would transmit free electricity across the world. What? Free electricity? That's amazing! Well, when Mr. Morgan found out, he shut the project down, had the tower destroyed, and ruined it for everyone. Imagine we all had free energy right now. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little irritated now that I know this. Tesla's ability to wirelessly power light bulbs and other devices short distances is something that we still cannot replicate or implement in an economic way today. In our number 1 spot today, we have the Tesla oscillator. Have you ever wanted to live through an earthquake on purpose? No? Me neither. And good thing we don't, because this little old gadget doesn't exist anymore. Apparently Nikola Tesla did though, when he built the Tesla oscillator, also known as the earthquake machine. This oscillator resonated at such a frequency it shook the buildings around him. While this wasn't the intended use, this is what ended up happening. It is said that he couldn't get it to shut down, so then he had to take a sledgehammer to it to destroy it and stop the shaking. Since this destruction and accidental earthquake, no one has ever been able to replicate the same sort of thing. And that's probably a good thing, to be perfectly honest.
The exact civilization that created these statues and their purpose, of course, remains largely unknown, shrouded in the mists of time.
The Olmec heads known for their detailed and expressive facial features, bear a stylistic resemblance to some of the Barda Valley statues, particularly in the emphasis on facial expression and scale.
Some of these statues are enormous, towering over visitors and creating a sense of awe and perhaps a little intimidation. The local Turaha people have their own myths and legend about these statues, often involving spirits and supernatural beings, because there's simply no other explanation. Some of the statues have mysteriously vanished over the years, leading to speculation about theft and illegal trafficking. Next up, we have the ancient megaliths on Easter Island.
Could these monoliths connect with the ancient structures of Göbekli Tepe? And if so, does that mean they could have been carved over 12,000 years ago?
The island's civilization collapsed due to deforestation, resource depletion, and potential warfare, leading to a decline in population and, of course, a loss of cultural knowledge. Evidence suggests that the islanders resorted to some pretty dark methods during times of extreme hardship and conflict. There's not a lot to eat, so you can do the rest. The exact origins of the Rapa Nui people and their advanced civilization remain a mystery, sparking theories about lost civilizations and, of course, extraterrestrial involvement. If we can't explain it here on Earth, maybe an alien up there has all the answers. You never know. The true purpose of the iconic Moai statues remain unclear, leading to various interpretations, including religious, political, and astronomical significance. What we do know is that there has to have been advanced technology in order to create these statues. But what they did and how they did it, that's life's biggest mystery. Next up, we have the Puma Punku, Bolivia megastructure. Now, some of these stones used to construct Puma Punku weigh over 100 tons. How ancient civilizations transported and precisely cut these massive blocks remain a mystery. The stones are cut with incredible precision, and the joints are so tight that even a razor blade can't fit in between them. So somebody back then knew what they were doing. This level of accuracy is still difficult to achieve even with modern technology today. The stones are adorned with intricate carvings and designs, showcasing advanced knowledge of geometry and, of course, engineering. Some stones seem to defy gravity, literally balancing on corners or edges in ways that modern engineers struggle to replicate. The advanced techniques used to shape and transport these massive stones, they suggest a level of technology that was lost to time. Now, some believe that Puma Punku holds secrets about ancient civilizations and advanced technologies that were deliberately hidden or lost.
Coming in at number 5, we have the boomerang. Alright guys, now it's time to head down under for one of the oldest, most advanced hunting tools that we have ever seen. Sure, we have things that can kill things more effectively now than a boomerang does, but we have to appreciate how precise and deadly these things were, and how you can find some ancient relics of boomerangs that seem to be better built than the ones we have today. And in case you didn't know, boomerangs are basically a wing. Someone invented something that could fly around 2,300 years ago. Well, that is the oldest boomerang ever found, so the first one could have been even older than that. Before people had shoes, someone made something that could not only fly and kill something, but it would also return to them. I don't know who that guy was, but whoever he was an absolute legend. That guy for sure chucked that thing for the first time, and the whole tribe was like, dude, you are going to be king forever because that is the coolest thing that I have ever seen in my life. I literally don't know how the sun works, and you just made a flying stick that comes back to you like a dog fetching a ball. This is amazing. Coming in at number 4, we have Greek fire. This is one of the biggest mysteries of ancient Greek warfare. See, the Greeks had a weapon like none other. It was fired out of a long metallic tube that was attached to boats. It was some sort of napalm-like substance that they would fire out of these tubes, and it would lace enemy ships in a flaming substance that couldn't be put out by simply pouring water on it. It must have looked like a dragon breathing fire on you. The secret as to how they were able to make such a weapon never leaked out into the wrong hands. So to this day, we still have no idea how they were able to do it. Maybe some future dudes came back in time and was like, hey, you guys want to see something that's really gonna blow your mind? Well, let me show you this wild thing right here real quick. If you were an enemy getting blasted by this stuff, you would have for sure thought it was magic. Coming in at number 3, we have ancient Chinese wells. You know how we're burning through a ton of fossil fuels right now, and after saying that, I literally understand why they call them fossil fuels, because it's fuel that comes from fossils. God, I am dumb sometimes. Well, we all know that there are much cleaner forms of energy that we should probably be using because the world seems like it's gonna die if we don't change up our tactics. Well, in ancient China, they had tapped into wells that were full of natural gas. They dug wells deep into the ground, and this was originally so they could harvest salt inland, because it was very hard to get salt without going down to the ocean unless you dug these massive wells. But with this, they found shots of methane. They then built bamboo tubes that led to people's homes so they could use the natural gas to heat their houses. That's pretty cool if you ask me, but now that I'm thinking about it, methane isn't the cleanest energy, but it's still amazing tech to have a natural gas chute that goes directly to your home. Coming in number 2, we have the Ulfberht sword. There was a tomb found in Scandinavia that had some amazing swords in it. There were over 100 swords discovered, and there was something that set these bladed weapons apart from all the others from the era. They were much more advanced than any other swords that were made from nations around that time. These blades were made out of 99.9% pure metal. I mean, if you were to look into most metal objects today, I'm sure they would be skimping somewhere. The metal pieces in your car probably have little bits of plastic in them to help cut cost. What was so impressive about these weapons is that the surrounding areas would not get this kind of technology until 800 years later. Between the compass that you could use in the dark when you were out on the ocean and the swords that were 800 years ahead of their time, it's no wonder that the Vikings were able to be such a force of destruction. And coming at the number 1 spot, we have Mithridatium. That sounds like something that would be pulled out of a Tolkien book, but it's actually one of the most mysterious substances made by King Mithridates IV of Pontius. This guy was living during Emperor Nero's reign around 60 BC. The king had developed a substance called Mithridatium, which was apparently an antidote to all poisons. Sounds like a pretty handy tool, especially if you're a king or emperor. We all know that people are trying to poison them at all hours of the day. Now, the recipe for this substance was never let out to the public. Only the king and Emperor Nero himself knew how to make it, and maybe they should have told a few more people because eventually the formula was lost, and since then, no one has been able to recreate this elixir. But maybe it was all a lie. Nero could have spread rumors that he had such a tool so people wouldn't be so bold to poison him. I mean, that would be a pretty smart move.
List in our number 10 spot, we have a death ray. Archimedes, if that's how you say it, was born in 287 BC in the city-state of Syracuse, which at the time was a part of ancient Greece, but now would be a part of Sicily. When the Roman army set sail to lay siege on Syracuse, he began trying to find ways to deal with protecting his home and ways to bring death to those in the Roman army. He used his knowledge of physics to build a weapon that would help fend off those sailing into the city. While he managed to make quite a few effective and honestly very cool gadgets in order to fight these men off, the one we are here to talk about today is the death ray. While this sounds like some sort of crazy laser beam, it is surprisingly much simpler despite us not being able to recreate it today. The death ray was a series of mirrors that reflected concentrated sunlight onto the Roman ships. If you've ever used a magnifying glass in sunlight, you know where this is going. Those concentrated rays of sunlight were enough to set the ships ablaze, and it is said that ship after ship of the Roman fleet all caught fire, only to then sink into the Mediterranean. Many attempts to recreate the death ray have of course happened, and some have been moderately successful, but not in the way that this historical story suggests. Maybe he just had that magic touch. In our number 9 spot today, we have Ulfberht. This mysterious sword has been confusing ever since it was discovered by archaeologists. Experts were able to date this sword back to the Viking era sometime from 800 to 1000 AD, but no one could figure out how this sword was made, especially from what technologies were available at the time. It seemed as though this sword was made using techniques that didn't exist until 800 years later when the Industrial Revolution happened, so how could it have been made all this time before? It is said that everything about the sword, from the composition of the metal to the extreme heat needed to forge the blade, it just couldn't have been done at the time, but clearly it was. So how? A blacksmith who tried to recreate the sword using only methods that would have been used then explained that he was unable to make it without resorting to more modern technology. In our number 8 spot today, we have Nepenthe. If you're a person who's ever had to be subjected to the process that is antidepressant medication, this one might frustrate you just a little bit. The ancient Greeks and Romans discovered a lot of things, some of which we use now, and some that seem to have been lost, but could have potentially proved to be exceptionally useful to us, and that is exactly what this one is. Ancient Greeks were known to treat the bereaved with this medicine that seems to have been some sort of a primitive antidepressant. It is said that it was known for its ability to chase sorrow away and also to cause forgetfulness. There are many references to this medicinal plant, but at this point we are completely unsure of which modern plant aligns with these ancient descriptions. or if it even exists at all anymore. In our number 7 spot today we have the telharmonium. The telharmonium is regarded as one of the world's first electronic instruments. This instrument was kind of like an organ, but it used wheels to create different synthetic tones. From here, the tones would be transmitted over telephone wires with the intention of getting the music broadcast so that people could listen in. Considering the fact that this instrument was created in 1897, that's a pretty cool invention for the time, so the fact that it once existed is super cool. Unfortunately, however, the idea was taking too much energy from the grid, which led to it being totally scrapped. Instead of finding out another way to use this instrument or just waiting for technology to advance to a point where this would be able to be used, they just destroyed it. Now, in 2021, not only does the telharmonium not exist, but there aren't even any recordings of it, so it seems as though this might be one thing that's lost forever. In our number 6 spot today we have the Library of Alexandria. This isn't necessarily technology as we now think of the word, but this certainly was one of the greatest losses we've seen. This library is said to have held a collection of over 1 million scrolls, which are said to have been all of the written works in the world at the time. The library was founded in 300 BC, and it was where the scholars of the time would come to study. It is said that when a person visited the library, they needed to give over any books that they had so that they could be copied and added to the collection of the library. It isn't exactly clear what it was that destroyed it, but rumors range from Julius Caesar accidentally setting it on fire to an invasion that set it ablaze. At the end of the day, the building burned and everything in it was destroyed. What was in that building was absolutely priceless, and we can only guess at what secrets it held. Unfortunately, many of what was in that library wasn't written anywhere else, so it's destined to stay a mystery. When you think of ancient Mesopotamia, batteries probably aren't the first thing that come to mind, but in 1938 a strange clay jar was discovered near Baghdad. Inside, a copper cylinder surrounding an iron rod. Fill it with vinegar or lemon juice and you get a working battery. Scholars believe it could have been used for electroplating or medicinal purposes. The technology is 2,000 years old, but it closely mimics modern battery design. And the weirdest part? There's no written record explaining its use. Did the Parthians understand electricity better than we give them credit for, or what else could have been going on here? In Karnataka, India, the Hoysala temple contains elaborate carvings from the 12th century that seem to defy historical context. Among them are figures that look suspiciously like modern astronauts, complete with helmet-like domes and apparatus on their backs. While many historians say they represent mythological beings, others suggest these carvings reflect a technological understanding that should not have existed at that time. Did the sculptors see something we've forgotten, or something that they weren't supposed to? High in the Bolivian Andes lies the ruins of Puma Punku, a site so precisely constructed that it defies logic. Massive stones weighing up to 130 tons were somehow transported from quarries miles away. But it's the stone cutting that's most baffling. The blocks have perfectly machined surfaces, right angles, and holes drilled with symmetry that would require modern tools today. No writing, no explanation, just perfect stonework from a culture that left little behind. So now we're here today asking, how did they do it? This one looks like just another Roman chalice, until light hits it. Then the Lycurgus cup glows an eerie red from behind and green from the front. It's unfortunately not a magic trick. Scientists discovered that the glass contains particles of gold and silver as small as 50 nanometers. That is literally nanotechnology. Roman artisans somehow figured out how to manipulate materials at a microscopic level, something we didn't accomplish again until the 20th century. Did they even understand what they were doing, or was it just an accident of incredible experimentation? I don't know, because this is just absolutely insane to think of. How did they do it? And how can I get one of those cups? In the Hathor Temple at Dendera, Egypt, strange carvings depict what looks eerily like a giant light bulb. We're back with more ancient electricity, complete with a filament and even a power cord. Dubbed the Dendera light, the carving has sparked decades of debate. Skeptics call it symbolic, but supporters point to experiments where replicas actually produced light using similar designs. There's no soot on the ceilings, suggesting the Egyptians didn't use torches, so could they have harnessed some form of electricity thousands of years before Edison? Maybe that's how they built the things after all. I don't know. The pyramids are truly some of the most mysterious megaliths we have on the planet. What is going on? What was going on in ancient Egypt? Can somebody build a time machine so we can just put it to rest once and for all, you know?
At the top, I discussed Nikola Tesla's idea about building a fleet of remote-controlled ships, but he didn't want to stop there. He imagined a world where almost every vehicle would be remote-operated, and not just vehicles, but just full-on robots, too. After he'd showed off his remote-control boat, a reporter suggested it could be used as a weapon, like a torpedo carrying dynamite. Tesla reportedly flipped out at this and quickly set the record straight. He told the reporter that what he was showing wasn't just a weapon, but the first of a new kind of machines. Robots. He called them mechanical men, stating, quote, "You do not see there a wireless torpedo, you see there the first of a race of robots, mechanical men, which will do the laborious work of the human race." What he wanted was a future where robots would help people by taking over tough and dangerous tasks, making life easier and safer for everyone, at the same time allowing us to focus on more creative things that machines would never be able to do. Unfortunately today, pretty much the exact opposite has happened thanks to AI, but that's a topic for another video. Tesla was always thinking about new ways to harness energy. One of his big ideas was the concept of solar and wind energy. Tesla believed that the sun and earth were huge, untapped sources of energy that could be used to power everything. He imagined creating devices that could capture sunlight and turn it into electricity. But Tesla didn't want to stop there. He also thought about ways to send this solar power wirelessly so people everywhere could use it without needing to be connected to power lines. Tesla's ideas about solar power were way ahead of his time. Today, we have solar panels and other technology to capture energy from the sun, but Tesla was dreaming about this over 100 years ago. He referred to solar and wind energy at the time as cosmic energy. Now, solar power has been used on a smaller scale for centuries, but it wouldn't be implemented in the types of ways we see it being used today until much later.
In the 1890s, Tesla created something pretty terrifying, an earthquake machine. By accident. You see, in 1893, Tesla patented a machine that generated electricity through steam-powered oscillation. The purpose of the machine was to vibrate fast enough to generate electricity, which it did, but then it also did something else. One day, while attempting to tune the machine to his house, things got a bit out of hand. The ground began to shake, but instead of turning the machine off, it's Tesla, he decided to turn it up, and that's when he heard a loud crack. All of a sudden, it was as though he had created a full-on earthquake in his house. Heavy machinery, notes, and books were falling over and flying off of tables and walls. Tesla's reaction? To take a hammer to the generator and destroy it before it destroyed him. If he hadn't, who knows what could have happened. Perhaps the small man-made earthquake would have created a chain reaction that ended in the whole world collapsing and many of us having never been born. What kind of world would that be? When the police arrived, he told his staff to stay quiet about the whole thing. So it wasn't until many years later when he told the story that this terrible invention was revealed. However, it did lead to generators, so good job, Tesla.
Tesla was even picturing weather control long before it was being whispered about on message boards on the internet over a century later. He believed that with the right technology, it might be possible to influence and change weather patterns. He thought he could use electricity to make it rain or prevent storms using powerful electrical machines to send energy into the atmosphere, which could then affect the weather. For example, if there was a drought, his theoretical machines could create rain to help crops grow, or if there was a dangerous storm, the machines could calm it down before it caused any serious damage. Tesla's weather control idea was based on his understanding of how energy and the atmosphere work together. Now, of course, he never built the machine that could actually control the weather, but as always, his ideas were ahead of his time. Nowadays, scientists are still exploring ways to influence the weather. Some say they've already succeeded.
Now here's a thought. Camera. In 1933, Nikola Tesla attempted to invent a thought camera. He said he was convinced that a definitive image formed in thought must, by reflex action, produce a corresponding image on the retina, which might be read by a suitable apparatus. In order to test this theory, Tesla conceptualized a plan, which consisted of reflecting an image on an artificial retina, taking a photograph, and projecting that image onto a screen. A process which he theorized would allow people's imagination and thoughts to be read as though they were an open book. Of course, this didn't work because that's not how eyeballs work, but it was certainly an interesting thought, one that we couldn't see on a screen. On the other hand, if it had worked, which it didn't, I mean it never made it out of the conceptualization stage, it would have revolutionized lie detecting and interrogation methods. And then maybe MK Ultra would have never happened.
Next up is Bori Kalimbong. The exact purpose and construction methods of these megaliths remain largely unknown, shrouded in the mist of time. Nestled on the Indonesian island of Sulawesi, Bori Kalimbong is a mesmerizing megalithic site that continues to baffle archaeologists and, of course, intrigue visitors alike. Now, this ancient complex boasts hundreds of towering stone monoliths, some soaring to heights exceeding over 10 meters. These imposing structures, adorned with intricate carvings depicting animals and human figures, they stand as silent witness to a bygone era. The detailed carvings on the stone depict scenes of life and death, often with haunting expressions and symbolic imagery. Now, the site is believed to have been used for various rituals, possibly involving sacrifice or ancestor worship, or both. The sheer scale and complexity of the site, combined with the unanswered questions about its history, this can all spark a sense of wonder and perhaps a little bit of fear of the unknown. Yeah, definitely fear, heavy on the fear side. We for sure can't make a list like this and not include Stonehenge, located in England. The megalithic stones that make up Stonehenge weigh several tons each. How ancient people transported and erected these massive stones is still a subject of debate. Stonehenge is aligned with the summer and winter solstices, suggesting an advanced understanding of astronomy. Now, the site is believed to have been used for various rituals, possibly involving a human sacrifice or ancestor worship like the other ones, but perhaps the most intriguing theory is that Stonehenge was built by a highly advanced civilization that mysteriously vanished, leaving behind this enigmatic monument as a testament to their lost knowledge and power. A popular conspiracy theory, of course, suggests that Stonehenge was built by aliens who possessed advanced technology and knowledge. And while that's fun to believe, it's still pretty far-fetched. This theory is often supported by the precise astronomical alignments of the stones and the seemingly impossible way that they somehow lifted them, and now they're still in the same spot. So whatever happened, they knew exactly what they were doing, alien or not. Next up, we have Nan Madol. Nan Madol is a mysterious archipelago and artificial islands in Micronesia, and it's a testament to the ingenuity and ambition of its ancient builders. This enigmatic city, constructed over a millennium ago, is composed of massive stone walls and platforms rising dramatically from the tranquil waters of the Pacific Ocean. It looks like a ship coming up. The sheer scale and complexity of Nan Madol have baffled archaeologists for decades. How did the ancient inhabitants of Micronesia transport and manipulate such colossal stones across an entire ocean? That makes no sense. What advanced technology or even supernatural powers did they possess to do this? These questions remain, of course, unanswered, fueling speculation and intrigue. Moving on, the Deer Stones of Mongolia. These are enigmatic megalithic monuments that dot the vast landscapes of the ancient land. These towering stone structures, often adorned with intricate carvings of deer or other symbols, have captured the imagination of archaeologists and historians alike. The exact purpose of these stones, you guessed it, remains a mystery, shrouded in the mists of time, never to be known again. Now, some theories suggest that if they were lifted as markers for burial sites or as symbols of power and status, but that would still make no sense. Others believe that there may have been a religious or spiritual significance behind these, perhaps serving as objects of worship or as portals to the spirit world. The deer, a prominent motif in the carvings, hold deep cultural and spiritual significance for the nomadic peoples of Mongolia. It is often associated with strength, agility, and the power of nature. Those are the big three right there. The depiction of deer on these ancient stones may symbolize the connection between the people and the natural world, or it may represent a more profound spiritual meaning that we haven't discovered yet. Next up, we have the Trilithon of Baalbek. The Trilithon of Baalbek stands as a testament to the engineering prowess and sheer ambition of ancient civilizations. Nestled amidst the ruins of the Temple of Jupiter Baal, this colossal structure comprises 3 massive stone blocks, each weighing an estimate 750 tons. These behemoths, perfectly cut and meticulously placed, defy explanation. How did ancient people, without the aid of modern machinery, manage to quarry, transport, and lift these enormous stones right into position? Theories abound, ranging from the practical to the fantastical. We can't figure this one out. Some suggest that the builders employed ingenious techniques like levers, pulleys, and inclined planes, while others propose more outlandish explanations, such as the involvement of advanced civilizations or even extraterrestrial intervention. The sheer scale of the Trilithon and the precision of which it was constructed continue to baffle archaeologists and engineers alike. As we gaze upon this ancient marvel, we're left to wonder at the ingenuity and determination of the people who built it. Was it a feat of human ingenuity or something more alien? The mystery of the Trilithon remains unsolved, inviting us to ponder the limits of human achievement and the possibilities of the unknown.
The Greek historian Herodotus once described an incredible engineering marvel in Egypt: machines used to regulate water levels in Lake Moeris. These were allegedly part of an ancient hydraulic system used to irrigate vast agricultural areas, but no such machines have ever been recovered, and scholars remain divided on whether Herodotus exaggerated. Still, the scale of the lake and the surrounding canals hint at complex engineering that shouldn't have been possible during that era. Discovered in 1992 by a group of villagers in China, the Longyu Caves are hand-carved stone chambers stretching hundreds of meters underground. What stuns researchers is not just their scale, but the uniformity of the chisel marks. Every surface shows signs of meticulous, repetitive carving, possibly by unknown tools. There's no records of their construction, no mention in any historical texts, yet they remain structurally sound. Who built them, how, and why remains a total mystery. Outside of Cusco, Peru, lies Sacsayhuaman, a fortress built with stones so massive and so precisely interlocked that you can't even slip a piece of paper between them. No mortar, just perfect fits. And this is just one of many places like this in Peru specifically. Some of the stones weigh over 100 tons and were transported over steep terrain with no wheels or metal tools. It's just absolutely insane. Even more puzzling, if this could get crazier, is how they achieved earthquake resistance by cutting the stones with slight curves, a technique that modern architects admire but only recently began to replicate. How crazy is it that we're taking a look back at ancient civilizations to figure out how we can have earthquake-resistant buildings today in 2025? Like, that's crazy. That's crazy, and how did we not look sooner? You know, the people who live in earthquake zones are struggling out here. Have you guys ever been in an earthquake before? Let me know. That's how I know that you're still watching this video, okay? Tell me about your earthquake experience. Here, I've never been in an earthquake. There's not a lot of places in Canada where you can experience an earthquake, so let me know what it's like. In Delhi, India, stands a 1,600-year-old iron pillar that refuses to rust. Despite being exposed to harsh weather and pollution, the 23-foot structure is still standing with minimal corrosion. Metallurgists discovered that it's made from high phosphorus iron with a protective passive film, a process unknown in modern metallurgy until recently. How did 4th century blacksmiths create a material that defies nature? The technology behind this ironwork remains partly a mystery even still to this day. It was just a wooden artifact in a tomb near Saqqara, a bird-shaped object dated to 200 BCE, but when aviation experts looked closer, they noticed aerodynamic features far too precise just for decoration. The wings had lift-generating curves, the body balanced like a glider, and when researchers built a scale model and added a tail stabilizer, It actually flew. Could this be an ancient toy, or was it evidence the Egyptians had a basic understanding of flight long before the Wright brothers? I don't know, it just seems too good to be just a coincidence, you know what I'm saying?
Nikola Tesla is famous for his work with electricity, but he also worked on military technology. Like Alfred Nobel, he thought the best way to stop wars was to make them so terrible that no one would want to fight. Tesla invented a small boat that could be controlled with radio signals. He could start it, stop it, steer it without anyone actually being on board. His idea was that if you could take humans out of the fight, battleships would stop being built, and that, quote, the most tremendous artillery afloat will be of no more use than so much scrap iron. Back in 1898, at Madison Square Garden, Tesla showed off this boat to the public. The boat was a small unmanned vessel that Tesla controlled with a radio transmitter. This was way ahead of its time. Remote control technology was just unheard of back then. At the time, people were so baffled that some even thought he was using magic or mind control to steal the boat. So this invention did technically see the light of day, just not on the massive scale he was envisioning.
Call it a death ray, or as Tesla would, call it a peace ray. According to Tesla, prior to his death in 1943 and the Cold War in 1947, he had been working on a particle beam that could produce enough energy to destroy entire armies, no matter how far away they might be. I mean, there were limits. The beam wouldn't have been able to bend across the Earth to reach adversaries on the other side of the globe, but it did have pretty good range, and it was incredibly powerful. He pitched the idea to a number of governments, including the US government and the Soviet Union. Can you guess who took him up on his offer? The Soviets. Luckily, as far as we know, Tesla was never actually able to create the weapon, but just to be sure, after Tesla's passing, the US government went to the hotel where he had been staying and pretty much ransacked the place. To their relief, they found no proof that the weapon had ever made it past the conceptualization stage. Or so they say. For all we know, they've got it stored away somewhere in a secure military facility under lock and key, just waiting for the perfect moment to unleash all hell on some unlucky enemy. Only time will tell.
So Tesla had an interesting philosophy on how world peace would be achieved. Basically, create something so terrifyingly dangerous that no one would ever want to use it, thus scaring world leaders out of engaging in violent conflicts, kind of like the death ray. Another one of these scary ideas was the artificial tidal wave, a tidal wave that could be set off at will. The idea was that this massive wave could be used as a weapon in naval warfare to wipe out enemy ships. Tesla believed he could generate this tidal wave by using a series of synchronized explosions underwater. He thought up a machine that could trigger these explosions remotely, creating a wave so powerful it would crash down on enemy fleets, causing massive destruction. At the time, the papers wrote that this artificial tidal wave technology would render navies useless and bring humanity one step closer to world peace. But the invention never actually came to be, at least that we know of.
In 1901, Tesla began working on a groundbreaking invention that would change the way the world viewed electricity. A 185-foot tall, mushroom-shaped wireless energy tower that could transmit messages and images to ships at sea and across the Atlantic Ocean, and power the entirety of New York City by transmitting millions of volts of electricity through the air using only the Earth to conduct the signal. In order to do this, he secured a $150,000 grant from American financier and investment banker J.P. Morgan, who you might have heard of from our Titanic videos. For 5 years, Tesla worked tirelessly on his invention, but unfortunately, his vision never came to fruition because in 1906, Morgan cut his funding, likely due to the fact that if Tesla was successful in his endeavor, he would have greatly decreased or even eradicated the profits of Morgan's other energy sector holdings, which is too bad because I personally would really love it if I didn't have to pay an electric bill once a month, but c'est la vie, I suppose. Now, eradicating electric bills and improving Atlantic communications weren't the only things Tesla had hoped to use his wireless energy transmitter for. Oh no, in fact, the entire idea was actually sparked by Nikola Tesla's love of flight, and the tower was really just a prelude to what he had actually actually hoped to create: electric-powered supersonic airships. In 1919, Tesla told Reconstruction magazine that he had once planned on developing aircrafts that would hover 8 miles above Earth's surface and fly at speeds that would allow pilots to travel from New York City to London in just 3 hours. But of course, in order for this to work, he would have had to have been successful in creating his wireless transmitter, because the aircrafts he dreamed of did not carry fuel. Of course, this never went ahead because the transmitter was never completed, but think of how much different life would have been if it worked.